Do you know what these are? This is old money. When I say old money, I mean imperial money. I mean pounds, shillings and pence. Somebody very kindly some time ago now sent me some old coins. There's, well, I'm going to have a look at them in a second and we'll find out exactly what they are. But some of the old money that I used to grow up with when I was a kid. And then in the early 70s, decimalisation came and we have what we now have, that sort of pounds and 20 pence pieces and 5 pence pieces and all the modern money here in England that we have. And I stumbled across these the other day, actually, and they were sitting on my desk for a while. And I thought, blimey, look at that. Actually, how strange, because I've just started reading a book about the history of money, and it talks about the silver coins and how they were minted and then how they were clipped and how money got debased. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. And then, of course, come to modern day times in which we're hearing about how the dollar is collapsing left, right and centre, and we've got the threat of these CBDCs, the central bank digital currency, that everybody's somewhat worried about and going, oh my goodness, currency that, which, by the way, just to remind you, in case you'd forgotten, that can be programmed. That, of course, if you buy something, people at the banks, the government can know exactly what it is you're buying at the time of purchase, and if they wanted to, they could just prevent you from buying it. Or money that can be programmed that if you don't spend it by a certain time, it just evaporates. That's not the kind of money I want to have. I don't know about you. So I was looking at these old pounds, shillings and pence, and I was reminded actually that in the old days with pounds, shillings and pence, a penny, there was 240 pennies to the pound. Now that might surprise some people. I mean, I grew up with that, you know, as a young kid, and it's a long, long time ago now, the 1970s, when all of this changed round. So you had, let's have a little look. I'll have to take my glasses down a bit just to remind myself. They've got all sorts of things. I'll take a picture so you can see what we're looking at. So you've got half a crown here. This is 1953, these are, and it's got a picture of the Queen on it. Then there's, what else have we got? The shilling. We've got the penny, of course. And then we've got the halfpenny. We have the 1 shilling. Oh, so there's 2 of those 1 shillings. Then there's a 2 shillings. There's a threepenny bit. There's a sixpence. And then there's a halfpenny, or rather a farthing. And isn't that lovely? And these are beautiful old notes. I mean, you know, they weighed something. They were a size. My dad used to do magic, you know, conjuring, and he used to make them disappear with his hands. He was very clever and dexterous and all of that. And luckily, he did it with my pocket money as well, made that disappear. Well, I say luckily, it wasn't lucky for me. Anyway, the point being is that they were a nice size and you knew you had them in your pocket. And of course, back in those days, you could buy, as a kid, you know, you used to buy sweets and you'd buy these blackjacks and what were the other ones? Rhubarb and custard. Was it rhubarb and custard? Well, anyway, whatever they were, you could buy loads of them for a penny, something like 8 to the penny. You felt like you were getting value for your money back in the old day of these old coins. I was also sent a couple of silver coins. So I just wanted to have a look at these. I think these, if I remember right, are 5 shillings, but in silver. And so they were issued somewhat differently. And I don't know if you can see that one, but it's a lovely silver coin, which you can take over there. And oh, it's disappeared. And then, anyway, there we go, a little bit of magic sleight of hand nonsense. So I think these are now worth something like between 25 and 30 pounds, if I've got my memory correct. Bit of silver, and there's another one in there. So between the two of them, there's almost 60 quid's worth. I better guard that with my life. And over here, of course, I'm reminded that these are the current notes that we have. So these coins, not these anymore, but the current ones that we have, the decimal ones that we have in our pockets, they are produced by the mint, by the Treasury, by the government. But these are from the Bank of England. And now most people think, well, that's obviously part of the Treasury, isn't it? The Bank of England. And a lot of people don't realise that the Bank of England is not really a bank and it's not anything to do with England. It's a business. It's a corporation. And these are promissory notes. And does it not say in very tiny letters, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £5. But the question is, £5 of what? £5 of what does this note now give you? I mean, it used to give you sterling silver. Some of these coins, £5 of these sterling silver. And I interviewed a chap about this, and he said £5 of sterling silver in today's equivalent would actually be, and that's a pound in weight, by the way, a pound in weight. £5 of sterling silver now would be worth roughly about £2,300, something like that. So if you wanted to make some money, real money, as in silver money, something that has intrinsic value, you could go to your bank, take in one of these and say, excuse me, I would like the equivalent of this note, please, in sterling silver, because I believe it's about £2,300 or something like that, whatever it is. It may have gone up, may have gone down, who knows? Because it does say on here, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of. But of course, this is no longer on the gold standard or the silver standard. It's on no standard whatsoever. It's just a piece of paper with words on it. Wait a minute. If it's just a piece of paper with words on it, then what is it actually worth? Well, it's not worth anything, is it? It's probably only worth a fraction of a pence in terms of the paper or the polymer that it's made of. I mean, it does have all these special things on it, that an independent, a unique number, and it's got printing of the old Queen's face, and then on the back, Winston Churchill, and you can see through it in various bits, and it's got nice text and lovely picture, and it's got the number 5 on it, and swirly Bank of England stuff on it, and all of that, and actually, it's purely by blind faith that we can take this into a supermarket, not that I recommend going to supermarkets these days, but or a corner shop or a small family-run business, which would be much better. We can take that in, and we can purchase something, and we believe that we've bought it with money. But all we've done is we've given them a promissory note. Well, if this is a promissory note that's no longer backed up by silver or gold or anything, because we're no longer on the gold standard and it's just blind faith, then why couldn't we get a piece of paper and write our own promissory notes? I could be the Bank of Vobes, couldn't I? Put a unique number on it, put my picture on there, a little cartoon picture of me, like that, and say, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of, and I'll think of a number, I don't know, let's say 5 for the sake of argument, £5. But it doesn't say what. Could be £5 of mouldy old potatoes, doesn't it? And then as long as I've got a signature, because that is the thing, that is the key. It's got to have the signature, and you'll notice this will have somewhere on here, the chief cashier has signed this, which makes it suddenly worth something. And so that's the signature, as I understand it, on the promissory note that we could make to pay our bills or to purchase things if the other person will accept it. After all, they ought to accept it, because didn't Lord Denning say in a famous case in the 1960s, I think it was, that promissory notes must be treated as cash? And didn't he say we have repeatedly said that promissory notes must be treated as cash? So although that is one issued by the Bank of England, what's to stop us writing our own promissory notes when we have those tedious bills that come in and just say, hey, hold on a second, I may not have enough of these, but I do have a pen, I can sign my name, and I can write, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of on demand. Who knows? These coins, by the way, are still legal tender. Not so much the pound, shillings and pence, of course, but the modern version of it, the ones we have in our pockets, because they are produced by the mint. And so they are not connected to the Bank of England. And as I understand it, I know that so many places these days are saying, oh, we don't take cash, it's just online payments or bank payments or whatever, but we don't take cash. I understand that if they're a registered company, you know, so in other words, they're a limited company, they're registered on Companies House, they are obliged to take cash, as in coins of the realm, legal tender. That is the modern decimal ones, not the pounds, shillings and pence. Don't get confused, please. They are obliged to take it, even though they say, well, it's not our policy. And you can turn around to them and say, oh, well, actually, mate, you may not have a till, you may not have a cash register, but you are obliged to take it if you're registered on Companies House and you're a limited company, because they are still legal tender and you have to do it. And if they refuse, I understand that if they refuse, it means they've refused to take legal tender. It means the debt for, let's say it was a cup of coffee and you're trying to pay for it, or a little meal, maybe a sandwich or something, and they said, well, we can't take that, we refuse your cash, then there is no debt. Now, I may be wrong in all of this, I often am. It's only an opinion, you understand. My opinion, just to finish up with, I rather like these silver coins, and actually I would like to exchange and trade in silver coins like these sort of things with my local little shops, family-run businesses, because that way, if I'm trading with them and they're trading with me and I can give value for value, the banks don't get involved. I don't need their CBDCs, I don't need their visas, I don't need them snooping about in my private affairs. If only we could go back to something like silver and gold, or even pounds, shillings and pence, where cash is being handed over between private people so that nobody knows what you're doing with it. And it's your own private business.